Hello and welcome to the video. My name is Zach. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today I'm going to be talking about how I wrote, directed, filmed, and edited a commercial for a summer camp here in Texas that I produced last summer. I'll take you to the process of how I decided to produce this commercial from pre-production to post, as well as some of the ways that I can improve or I could have improved looking back. So without further ado, let's show you the commercial and then I'll see you guys after it's played.
We're here, sweetie. Hope you have a great time and remember, embrace the adventure, okay?
Hey, this is Julia.
Hey, Julia, I'm Brandy.
Hi.
Okay, so we're gonna go into the lake cabin. When all the other girls come, we'll meet up and have a really great time.
When we got to those waves, I was like, if y'all saw me.
Hey Julia, welcome to the barn. We're gonna get you on a trail ride today. So you're gonna put that left foot in the stirrup and swing your right leg over.
Yeah. Alright, you got this. You're good. You're gonna do good. Can I have a high five?
Go Julia.
We're gonna do rose, bud, and thorn. Julia, you wanna go first?
Sure. So I'd have to say my rose for the day was probably tubing because that was a lot of fun, and my bud was probably just spending more time with you guys, to be completely honest, and my thorn probably.
We are Loose Guys, couldn't be prouder. If you can't hear us, we'll shout a little louder.
All right, so that was the commercial. I hope you guys enjoyed it on some level. It's definitely not the best work that I can produce, and I know this, but part of getting better is talking about your wins and talking about your losses. So the idea for this commercial came about because the team that I was working with wanted to produce a new summer camp commercial for the new year to get kids excited to go back to summer camp and to see all the things that they provide at the camp, all the exciting activities and amenities. The problem with this was last year, 2021, and we were just coming out of quarantine, and a lot of things still weren't up to full capacity, including this summer camp. So going into this project, I knew that we weren't gonna have a lot of kids to work with, basically. And so keeping this in mind, I knew that we really wouldn't be able to produce a traditional activity-filled, high-paced, high-energy summer camp commercial that really revolves around having a lot of kids and a lot of activities. Really, when it came to the summer camp, it was going to be a handful of kids that were brought in specifically to partly produce this commercial, but also to enjoy their camp experience. And that was just, I think probably 20 or less kids. And so I knew that based on the activities at the camp and how these kids were going to be split up, the best idea, in my opinion, was to approach it from a singular point of view. So having a character that we could follow along and kind of tell a story about how they were impacted at this camp. And that's what I pitched to the team that I was working with. Let's have a central character that we can take on a journey from start to finish of their week at camp, and basically playing along the lines of what it's sometimes like to go to a camp, summer camp. Even though I've never gone to a summer camp, what I'm told is, and what I've seen is that oftentimes it's a little bit scary at the beginning. There's some anxiety associated with going to a camp that you're unfamiliar with, especially if it's your first time, leaving your parents, going on this solo adventure with people that you don't know. And oftentimes by the time these kids get through the camp, it's kind of a transformative experience. They overcome some obstacles, challenges, a little bit of anxiety, and in the end, they're happy that they went on this trip and they've got to make friends as well. So the idea for this commercial was to kind of create a story around that narrative. Some of the issues that I ran into were one, there wasn't going to be anybody casted for this in a formal way. So we weren't going to hire any actresses or actors. So knowing this, I reached out to the team and I said, hey, who do we have that can volunteer for this role or, would be willing to play the character in this commercial? Luckily, we had a volunteer who had a little bit of prior acting experience. And so I went into the pre-production having that knowledge. I knew that she was going to be a girl, and I knew that she had gone to the camp before. She had done some acting, like I said. And so I kind of built the story around her. And again, I try to keep the story as simple as possible with some basic dialogue. So in order to kind of plan the pre-production, I went into Milanote, which is an awesome pre-production tool and one I've seen various YouTubers use. So I kind of just wrote some dialogue. I kind of storyboarded some scenes from grabbing screen grabs from other commercials and pictures. And then I found some music that I thought might fit. The music that I picked in the beginning ultimately didn't end up being the music that I went with, but it gave me a start for an idea of how I was going to frame some of my shots as well as the atmosphere and the energy of the piece. So I presented the pre-production to the team. Everybody seemed to be on board, and basically it was up to me to produce this thing, which is a lot to do as a solo filmmaker or a solo video creator, is to direct, film, gather all these things while an actual summer camp is going on. So one of the things that I learned from this was it wasn't a formal production in a lot of ways. I mean, it was a very run and gun type of filming, almost like a documentary style. Even though we did have certain things that we, a lot of time for when we set up and we tried to film as best as we could, we were filming essentially in a live summer camp scenario. So kids are coming in and out. We used our actress, we pulled her aside to film some scenes, but everything else was going on as it normally would, which is a very challenging thing to overcome when you're trying to produce something. You really want to have your own space to produce like a narrative piece. Having said that, we worked with what we had, and I worked with what I had to produce the best thing I could. So going back into pre-production, after I had all this, set up in Milanote, I presented it to the team, and we were told that we would have 4 to 5 days at the summer camp. We would just stay there overnight, and we would be able to shoot the scenes that we needed. Some of the scenes that I wrote in Milanote were, the higher paced, higher energy activities that I could, I felt really showcased the camp and got kids excited to come. Now, there were a lot of activities that we were able to do. However, there was a number of activities that we weren't able to film due to them either being down at the camp or just not having the right staff. And some of those included the zip line, and I believe that was the main thing. The zip line was the main thing that I really wanted to capture that I didn't get to. And I wrote it in the storyboard and in my pre-pro, but ultimately I had to cut it out of the filming process. So once I had the ideas for the activities down, I just had to coordinate with the actual camp director and the staff to make sure that we had these activities set up at a certain time of day. I was trying to shoot mostly in the morning at sunrise and then sometimes in the evening at sunset because I was using a lot of natural light, actually all natural light for this commercial. So what's the best way to shoot in natural light? Well, it's to shoot at the most forgiving times of day, which are sunrise and sunset, when the sun is more at a level point of view and not so high in the sky, which ultimately allows for more contrast in your scenes. Again, I learned a lot, just directing for the first time, really in a commercial type of environment on a bigger scale. The actress was great. She did a great job. I think the other challenging part of all of this was including the other kids in the background. So the other kids were there, essentially to be a part of the commercial, but it's oftentimes when you're working with kids, it's like, they're not necessarily the most professional. They want to have fun, they want to goof around. And so having to really focus on that one character, I wasn't able to focus on the other people in some of the scenes. And so I don't think the reactions of some of the other characters essentially are the best. If I had a bigger team where I was able to direct a little bit better, I could probably direct everybody in the scene to play their part how I wanted to. And again, I didn't have the clearest idea or the clearest vision when it came to this commercial. I think we got some great scenes outdoors, you know, specifically with, I like at the horse scene. Definitely like the ropes course, the climbing scenes. There's a couple times where, you know, I was using the FX6, which is a great camera, and it has these built-in NDs, and that came in super handy as well. But there was a couple of times whenever I was trying to use the autofocus feature on it when it kind of focus hunted a little bit. But the reason I chose to use autofocus is because it's really pretty reliable on this camera. And in the types of run and gun environment where we were having to go from one place to the next place, we didn't have a lot of time to take the scenes multiple times. It really was the best scenario in my opinion. Another challenge on this commercial was sound. So I used this Sennheiser mic. I believe it's the, I'm not sure what exact model it is, but I'll put this on the screen as an overlay of what model it is. It's not the best mic. I think it's around like $400. I used that directly into the camera. When you're using it to try to capture dialogue from different characters and you don't have a lot of time to retake or do, you know, sound in post, you really want to have a super high quality mic that you can really get the best audio from. There's a couple of times in this where I try to go in and post and try to like mess with the audio, and I'm no audio engineer, so there's certain, you know, instances with audio and this isn't the best. I did use some audio in post to kind of spice things up a little bit with like the ambience and everything, but one area that I can improve on definitely is just bettering my audio skills in post. Sound mixing, sound designing is huge for film, and I definitely can improve on that. The other thing that I can improve on is the color grading process. So with this, you know, there's really only one camera used for the most part. It was the FX6, but then we have that drone shot, and the drone was like a lower quality. It was the Mavic Mini, so it wasn't super high dynamic range, the best color. And you know, when you're trying to match all these, it's a little bit difficult. We're trying to match those two, it's a little bit difficult. Overall, this was a great learning experience. I definitely felt like, you know, the time I was out there for 4 days and trying to run and gun, get these scenes, and then put something together in the end, I definitely felt proud that I was able to do, you know, make something. But again, this is something that I'm continuously trying to improve on. I'm not satisfied really. I want to get better at storytelling, writing, directing, cinematography, pulling it all together to produce really emotional pieces, really emotionally driven, and pieces that really, you know, move you to take action on something, whether that be to want to buy something or to, you know, just move you to want to get up and take action to do something. I think a lot of times the best commercials are driven around emotion, you know, and storytelling through emotion. They tell a story in a short amount of time, and that's the thing about commercials that's really, you know, intriguing to me, is how do you tell a story in 30 seconds or a minute, or in this case, you know, 2 minutes. It's not as easy as you think, and especially for doing all of it, you know, mostly by yourself. But with all that being said, it's a creative challenge, and I think we should embrace these challenges and learn from them. And I hope to continue to develop as a commercial filmmaker, as a filmmaker in general, with documentaries, and get better at all these things as I also pursue, you know, other things as well. I don't want to limit myself. So anyways, I hope you guys had enjoyed the video, got something out of it. I'll see you next time. Stay creative, stay fit, stay healthy.